Love. The one thing every human craves, yet so many feel unworthy of. It's a silent battle hidden behind smiles, tucked away in lonely nights, whispered in the quiet moments of doubt. Some believe love is something to be earned, something given only to the perfect, the flawless, the lucky. But what if that's the biggest lie you've ever believed? For too long, society has made love feel conditional. Be more attractive, be more successful, be less of a burden. These messages seep into the mind, convincing people they must prove themselves before they can be loved. But the truth is, love is not something you chase, it's something you recognize within yourself. This is where everything changes. Today, we're breaking down the walls of self-doubt and rewriting the script. You are worthy of love not because of what you do, but because of who you are. And when you truly believe that, everything shifts. Relationships become healthier, confidence grows, and the fear of not being enough, it fades. Stay with these words. Let them sink in. Because by the end, you won't just say, I am worthy of love. You'll feel it. And once you do, nothing will ever be the same. Self-worth is the foundation of every relationship, yet it's one of the most misunderstood aspects of life. Many people look for validation in others, waiting for someone to prove they are enough. But when love feels like something that must be earned, fear takes over. Fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of never measuring up. And that fear creates a cycle seeking love while silently believing it's just out of reach. This belief doesn't start overnight. It's shaped by experiences, by words spoken in childhood, by the comparisons made in a world that constantly says, do more, be more. Some carry wounds from relationships where love was given and taken away like a prize. Others struggle with inner voices that whisper, not good enough, drowning out the truth. And the more those voices repeat, the easier it becomes to accept them as reality. But worth isn't something that can be measured. It isn't tied to achievement, status, or the approval of others. It's not defined by past mistakes or the opinions of those who failed to see your value. It exists simply because you do. Every person walking this earth has value, not because of what they offer, but because they are here. Yet so many go through life disconnected from this truth, chasing acceptance, bending to fit expectations, believing love is something to be won instead of something to be embraced. The shift begins the moment that chase ends. No more seeking proof. No more waiting for someone else to give permission to feel loved. That power has always been within. And when self-worth is recognized, everything changes. The way others treat you shifts because the way you treat yourself shifts. Desperation fades. Boundaries strengthen. Love stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like what it was always meant to be: natural, effortless, unconditional. This is where real love begins, not in the hands of another, but in the acceptance of who you are, as you are. And when that truth settles in, life itself begins to transform. Words shape reality. Every thought, every phrase repeated in the mind becomes part of the internal belief system. Doubt and insecurity don't appear out of nowhere. They are built over time, strengthened by words spoken in moments of weakness, reinforced by experiences that made love feel distant. But just as words create limits, they also have the power to break them. Affirmations are not just phrases spoken into the air. They are tools that reshape the mind. The subconscious absorbs whatever it hears most often, whether positive or negative. A person who constantly tells themselves they are unworthy eventually lives as if it's true. But the same principle works in reverse. Speak worth into existence, and the mind begins to accept it. Speak love into reality, and the heart begins to believe it. This isn't about forcing positivity or ignoring struggles. It's about replacing the quiet, destructive thoughts that hold people back with words that build them up. Science has shown that the brain forms new neural pathways based on repeated thoughts. The more a statement is spoken and believed, the more deeply it takes root. Shifting the inner dialogue isn't instant, but every time an affirmation is repeated, the old patterns of doubt weaken. At first, it may feel unnatural, saying, I am worthy of love, when years of conditioning have said otherwise can bring resistance. The mind fights back with arguments, searching for proof. But consistency breaks that resistance. The more these words are spoken, the more the subconscious adapts. Over time, what once felt like a forced statement transforms into an unshakable belief. People who practice affirmations daily don't just speak differently, they move differently. They enter relationships without the weight of insecurity. They set boundaries without guilt. They stop seeking love as validation and start embracing it as a natural part of life. The shift is subtle at first, but then one day the words are no longer just phrases. They become reality. I am worthy of love. A simple sentence, yet for many, it feels like the hardest thing to say and truly believe. Those 5 words hold the power to rewrite years of self-doubt, but at first they might feel unfamiliar, like wearing an outfit that doesn't quite fit. The mind searches for proof, scanning through past experiences, failed relationships, moments of rejection. But worthiness isn't proven by the past. It isn't something that needs validation from another person. It exists, untouched, unshaken, no matter what has happened before. Speaking this affirmation daily is an act of reclaiming that truth. Saying it out loud, even when it feels uncomfortable, challenges the inner critic that insists love must be earned. Each repetition pushes back against the belief that worth is tied to perfection, that mistakes make someone unlovable, that rejection is a reflection of personal value. These are lies that have been repeated for too long. It's time for a new story. At first, the words might come with resistance. The voice of doubt will try to argue, listing every reason why love feels distant. But affirmations work through persistence. Each time this phrase is spoken, it plants a seed in the subconscious. With time, those seeds take root. Confidence grows, self-respect strengthens. The way relationships are approached begins to change not from a place of need, but from a place of wholeness. Repetition is key. Say it in the morning before the day begins. Say it at night before sleep. Say it when facing moments of doubt, when the weight of loneliness feels heavy, when rejection stings, when insecurities whisper that love is meant for someone else. Each time those words are spoken, they gain power. They become louder than the doubts, stronger than the fears, and eventually they are no longer just spoken, they are believed. Love is not something that must be chased. It is not reserved for the lucky or the perfect. It is already here, waiting to be embraced. And it all starts with 5 simple words: I am worthy of love. Speaking the words, I am worthy of love, isn't just about changing thoughts, it's about changing the way life is experienced. Every belief held deep within shapes actions, choices, and relationships. When self-worth is questioned, love feels fragile, relationships feel uncertain, and rejection feels like proof of unworthiness. But when this affirmation is embraced, everything begins to shift. Confidence rises. There's no longer a need to seek approval or prove value. Love is no longer something to be earned, but something that flows naturally. The way people move through the world changes. There's a quiet strength in knowing that worth isn't determined by the opinions of others. That strength creates a different kind of presence zone that draws in people who respect and appreciate without conditions. Boundaries become clearer. When self-worth is low, it's easy to tolerate less than what is deserved. Settling for half-hearted love, ignoring red flags, accepting mistreatment, all of it comes from a place of fear. Fear of losing people, fear of being alone. But when love for oneself grows, that fear loses its grip. Saying no becomes easier. Walking away from situations that don't align with self-respect becomes second nature. Relationships stop being about filling a void and start being about true connection. Anxiety around relationships fades. Doubt disappears when there's no longer a need to question whether love is deserved. There's no overanalyzing every word, no fear of abandonment shaping every action. Instead of clinging to relationships out of insecurity, there's a deep trust that the right love will stay, and anything that falls away wasn't meant to be held onto. Love is given and received more freely. Those who believe they are worthy of love show up differently in relationships. They don't hold back. They don't shrink themselves. They don't build walls out of fear of being hurt. Love is expressed without hesitation because it's no longer a transaction, it's a natural extension of inner worth. The world begins to reflect back what is believed within. When love is no longer something chased but something accepted, life starts to open in ways that once seemed impossible. Words have power, but their true strength comes from repetition. A single affirmation spoken once may feel good in the moment, but lasting change happens when it becomes a part of daily life. When affirmations are woven into routines, they stop being just words and start shaping beliefs, rewiring thoughts, and transforming the way love is experienced. Mornings set the tone for the day, making them the perfect time to speak affirmations. Before reaching for a phone, before the mind is filled with tasks and distractions, there is a quiet moment where the subconscious is most receptive. Speaking "I am worthy of love" during this time allows the words to take root, creating a foundation of confidence and self-acceptance before stepping into the world. Writing amplifies the impact. Seeing words on paper reinforces them in the mind. A simple practice of journaling affirmations each day, even if it's just a single sentence written multiple times, strengthens the belief. Keeping these words visible on sticky notes, phone wallpapers, or mirror sacks as a constant reminder, keeping self-worth at the center of daily life. Speaking affirmations out loud gives them energy. The voice carries emotion, and when spoken with conviction, the words start to feel real. Saying them in front of a mirror creates a deeper connection, forcing direct eye contact with the person who needs to hear it most in self. At first, it might feel awkward or uncomfortable, but discomfort is a sign of growth. With time, the hesitation fades, and the words become second nature. Moments of doubt are the most important times to use affirmations. When negative thoughts creep in, when insecurities rise, when love feels distant, this is when "I am worthy of love" needs to be spoken the loudest. Replacing self-criticism with words of affirmation in these moments weakens old patterns and builds new ones. Nighttime is another powerful window. The mind absorbs thoughts before sleep, making it the perfect time to reinforce self-worth. Whispering or mentally repeating the affirmation before resting allows it to settle into the subconscious overnight. Over time, these small daily moments add up, shifting not only thoughts, but the entire way love is approached and received. Doubt has a way of creeping in when least expected. Even after repeating affirmations, even after moments of confidence, there can still be a whisper in the mind questioning if any of it is true. Years of self-criticism don't disappear overnight. Negative thoughts are persistent, always looking for proof to reinforce old beliefs. But just because they appear doesn't mean they have to be accepted as truth. Thoughts are not facts. They are habits. The mind repeats what it has been trained to believe. And if it has been conditioned to focus on flaws, to seek validation, to assume rejection means unworthiness, then that is where it will go by default. Breaking that cycle takes awareness. Noticing when self-doubt appears and challenging it instead of accepting it is the first step toward shifting the inner dialogue. Replacing negativity with truth takes practice. When thoughts say, "I'm not good enough," the response must be, "That is not true. I am enough as I am." When the mind insists, "No one will love me," the answer must be, "Love is already within me, and I am open to receiving it." It may feel unnatural at first, but every time this mental shift happens, the old patterns weaken. Self-talk has to become intentional. Speaking to oneself with kindness should not be reserved for moments of success. It is needed most in moments of doubt, in times of struggle, in situations where rejection or disappointment threatens to bring back the belief that love is out of reach. Choosing self-compassion in those moments is what makes the difference. Perfection is not the goal. There will still be days when the old thoughts feel louder than the affirmations. That does not mean progress is lost. Every time self-worth is reaffirmed, every time negative thoughts are challenged, every time love for oneself is chosen over fear, another step is taken toward breaking free from self-doubt. The voice of self-criticism may not disappear instantly, but it can be drowned out by a stronger, more powerful voice, the one that knows deep down that love has always been deserved. Words change thoughts, and thoughts change reality. What once felt impossible starts to take shape the moment self-worth is embraced. The way people interact, the way relationships unfold, the way love is given and received, it all transforms when the belief, "I am worthy of love," becomes more than just words. Relationships take on a new energy. Desperation fades, replaced by a quiet confidence that doesn't seek approval or validation. Conversations become more open, free from the fear of saying the wrong thing or being too much. Love stops feeling like a fragile thing that might disappear at any moment and starts feeling steady, secure, and natural. Those who once settled for less than they deserved begin to walk away from unhealthy situations without hesitation because self-worth no longer allows them to hold on to what isn't right. The impact extends beyond romantic relationships. Friendships become deeper, built on mutual respect rather than silent insecurities. Boundaries become stronger, no longer shaped by guilt or the need to please. Work environments feel different, social interactions become less stressful, and the fear of judgment slowly fades away. The world reflects back the energy that is put into it, and when that energy is grounded in love and self-acceptance, the response from others begins to shift as well. Even personal habits change. Self-care stops being an afterthought. Health, rest, and well-being become priorities, not luxuries. Decisions start to come from a place of self-respect rather than obligation or fear. Goals are pursued with a new sense of purpose, not to prove worth, but to express the value that has already been recognized within. People who once struggled to accept love begin to experience it in ways they never expected. Compliments are received without deflection. Kindness is accepted without suspicion. Relationships flow with ease, without the need to overanalyze every action or word. Love is no longer something that must be earned. It is something that simply exists, something that was always meant to be. And once that realization takes hold, life itself begins to feel different, lighter, fuller, and far more beautiful than ever before. Growth happens in small moments, the quiet decision to speak kindly to oneself, the choice to reject old doubts, the willingness to believe in something greater. Shifting from self-criticism to self-acceptance doesn't happen all at once. But every time I am worthy of love is spoken, another step is taken toward real change. Love starts within. It isn't something given only when perfection is reached, nor is it something that must be proven or chased. The moment self-worth is truly embraced, the way love is received, given, and experienced begins to shift. Confidence grows, boundaries strengthen, and relationships take on new meaning. The weight of fear and rejection slowly fades, replaced by a deep, unshakable belief that love is always present. Speaking affirmations isn't just about words, it's about creating a life where self-love is the foundation for everything. Keep repeating it, keep believing it, and watch as everything starts to align in ways that once seemed impossible. If this message resonated, support this journey by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. More content is coming to help strengthen self-worth, build confidence, and create the life and love that's truly deserved.